Hey, what's up, studs? Ryan here, or MandRproductions, and welcome to Ask MandRproductions episode 122, the series where I answer your questions. So if you have a question for me that you want answered next week, leave in the comments section down below. You can also leave a funny joke down there if you feel like that's appropriate. But let's go ahead and get started with our first question from Jack. He says, Ask MNR. Oh, by the way, you guys don't have to say Ask MNR to preface your question. You can just write the question. What is your thoughts on the very highly inflated old LEGO set prices? I don't know what you mean by highly inflated. Highly inflated suggests there's like some outside force inflating them. Their market value, like it's supply and demand. The supply is low because they're old and retired, and the demand is high because LEGO Star Wars continues to be popular. And those older sets, maybe people now are realizing they want or didn't pick up at the time, or just new to the fandom and want to pick them up. But I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's normal for anything to go up in value like that, just kind of like any investment type things you would hope would go up in value, I guess. But this is a little bit different because it's a toy, more or less. But I think part of what makes old sets cool and desirable is their value. If all of the old LEGO Star Wars sets were worth half of what they cost at retail, no one would want them because it wouldn't be cool to own them, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm wording it correctly, but hopefully you kind of get the idea that, like, if something's not valuable, then it's not cool to own in a way. Like, it's not cool for me to have a Coke can, you know, like they cost 50 cents. But it is kind of cool to have some old retired LEGO Star Wars set, like the Malevolence, because it costs like $300 sealed in the box. Like, there's just a difference there, I think, and I don't know if I've worded it very well, but to me, part of the coolness factor of old sets is how expensive they are, even though it sucks that you have to pay a lot for them. Bram says, what would be the best first set for a beginner collector? When you use the word collector, I go to think of someone who wants to display their stuff, and I think that the new Star Wars helmet sets are definitely probably the way you're going to want to go. They're $60, which is relatively cheap for something that LEGO makes that's only really for display. So I think from that fact, this would be the one, or the Stormtrooper or the TIE Pilot, whichever one you like better. But these helmets are a really neat kind of beginner collector set to get you into it, and then you go for the big $200, $300, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 UCS sets after you get hooked on these. So I would say go for the helmet sets to get yourself started and see where you're at after that. But the helmet sets are definitely very cool in my opinion. Definitely the way to go for like a beginner collector. LEGO Shane Production says, do you think there will ever be a Geonosian arena? Yes, I think there will one day be one. I think that the best chance for it to happen is in 2022 for the 20-year anniversary of Episode 2. I also think that year we could probably see a Jango Fett Slave 1 and other various remakes from Episode 2, like the Bounty Hunter Pursuit set. We could also see something like that remade. I think 2022 is the year to look for something like that, maybe in like a Master Builder series type of style set. The Brick Guild says, what is your favorite LEGO Star Wars 4+ set? I think the TIE Fighter has to be it. There aren't very many of them. I think it's just the X-Wing, the A-Wing, the TIE Fighter. Oh, and the Snowspeeder. But yeah, the TIE Fighter I think is the best 4+ set. The Snowspeeder looks just atrocious. The X-Wing, they effed up the cockpit somehow, and the A-Wing is all right, but I think the TIE Fighter is my favorite. I like the two figures in there a lot, so TIE Fighter is going to get my nod for favorite 4+ set. There's only 4 of them. I'll put a poll on the screen for which one you guys think is best. I think this one could also go to the A-Wing. I think I could see a lot of you guys liking the A-Wing. I don't think the X-Wing or the Snowspeeder really stand a chance here. I'm curious to see what they will continue to do with that line in the future, because it seems to be something they'll do like 1 or 2 of a year indefinitely, but they won't be doing a ton of. Vincent says, hey Ryan, would you consider a 24-hour live stream for 300,000 subscribers? No, you wouldn't want to watch that. I'll tell you that. That would not be fun. I'll consider an 8-hour live stream, something where I can be somewhat energetic the whole time, but 24 hours is just like, I know you want me to like celebrate it, but like, I don't want to kill myself. And just like, I feel like there after, I've actually, like, even when I go for like 3 hours on live stream, I get to that point, it's just like, is this fun for anyone anymore, right? Like, it's kind of been beat to death after 3 hours. I feel like 2 hours is like the longest I ever want to go live streaming, because I can just still have fun with it. After that, it just kind of gets a little, especially for me, I like to talk a lot, and you can't just talk. You can't. It just doesn't work. So, probably not that for 300,000 subscribers. Blindfold Bros asks the hard-hitting question, says, what do you think of Brady going to the Bucs, which I've already beat to death. It sucks. And now Gronk going with him. The Gronk thing I feel less bad about because he wasn't going to play for the Patriots anyway, right? Like, he had retired. And, you know, he was just going to cost them a little bit of money, not a ton of money. And they ended up getting a draft pick out of that, so I don't feel terrible about that. Like, It's all right. It'll be cool to see them play together again, I guess. But like, I kept seeing this meme of SpongeBob, and it's just like Julian Edelman is Squidward, and then you have SpongeBob and Patrick represented by Brady and Gronk outside, and it just makes me sad. 21 Cam says, should we get new LEGO Star Wars magnets? I remember during the early 2000s they had magnets that were removable, and you could take the figures off. Should they bring this back? They are not allowed to bring that back. They had some complaints from Hasbro, who owns the right to sell LEGO Star Wars action figures or whatever, at least separately. And LEGO minifigures, according to Hasbro's contract with Star Wars, are action figures, which I think is just pants on head retarded, but that's neither here nor there, and they're just not allowed to do that. So no, they shouldn't and can't bring that back. I wouldn't mind it if they did, but they're not allowed to. They changed over to these magnets that were like connected to the base, and then they made these magnets with like little circular backgrounds, and I just don't think the magnets ended up selling well anymore for LEGO in general. Now that I think about it, I don't even know if they sell any theme magnets anymore. Like, I remember buying like 2013 Star Wars ones, and I can't think of them since then. It's been a while. Man, maybe magnets have been gone longer than I think. I just don't think about them. I know they still do the keychains, but yeah, I just think magnets proved to be unpopular for them, and if they were popular, they wouldn't have stopped selling them, and they stopped selling them for a reason. So as much as you hate to see it, you hate to see it. Goodbye magnets, I guess. I didn't even realize they had like stopped doing LEGO magnets. I really didn't care, did I? Bryce Bacon says, what are your thoughts on LEGO Chima, the show and the sets? I never watched the show, and I thought the sets were trash, and LEGO Chima was also the reason that the weirdest piece of LEGO content I have ever seen was created, so it's got that going for it.
They use special energy called Chi, which gives them extra abilities and strong. Lions, eagles, and crocodiles planned secret reunion to clear up the situation.
The 501st says, what is one set you think needs a remake, not including UCS sets? There's a lot of obvious ones to me, the TIE Bomber, the TIE Interceptor, stuff like that were done in blue and should be redone in gray. A big one to me that I've been thinking about recently, though, and you know, you say one set, there's dozens of sets that I think need remakes, but one set that I've just thought about the other day, I was like, an ATTE. I didn't feel like it was time for an ATTE, but I saw the ATTE in the Mandalore scene, and I thought it would be really cool if they did an ATTE with the Ahsoka 332nd Troopers, as well as a couple of like the Darth Maul Mandalorian guys, and like that would be an epic LEGO set in my opinion. So that's the one that comes to mind right now, is that ATTE, and it could include some newer figures from the Siege of Mandalore. And that would just be epic. So that's my thing. Matthew Vaughn, picking up right where we were just talking off. What do you think about episode 10 of season 7 for the Clone Wars? I thought it was great. It was maybe the best Clone Wars episode I've ever seen. I rewatched both episode 9 and 10 today before I watched episode 3 again. And I just, wow. I mean, I can't wait for someone to make a supercut of the new, or the final 4 Clone Wars episodes with episode 3. And then I'm going to watch all of that because it's so good. It is so good. It's so much better than the 4 Ahsoka Tano off episodes that we got. Her character is so much better within the realm she is in now with the other characters versus just being off on this stupid side thing that I didn't even watch. There were 4 episodes of that. I didn't watch the middle 2. I just couldn't be bothered. But yeah, episode 10 was incredible. And like I said, there was the epic scene with the ATTE. Of course, Ahsoka being tempted by Darth Maul was really cool to see. And then her being so convinced that Anakin could never turn to the dark side. I'm really curious where that goes in episode 11 and 12 of the Clone Wars, because she has to find out, right, that Anakin becomes Darth Vader. And I'm just really excited to see this all happen and unfold. And I really do want to see that supercut of the Clone Wars with episode 3, and seeing it all put together would be really neat when someone eventually does go and put that on YouTube. Mighty Fine Meme says, hi Ryan, I just watched a YouTube video on how to get LEGO sets for cheap, and he said that as an option, instead of buying the set, he bought all of the pieces on Bricklink. Have you ever done this? That is called Bricklinking. I've talked about it before. I have not personally ever done it. I go on Bricklink and buy parts that I need, but I never buy parts like I wouldn't buy like all the parts to create this. It can be a cheaper option for some very expensive things. If you want to build like maybe a UCS Falcon from 2007, it might be cheaper to just buy all the parts. But in a lot of cases, I find it not to be the ideal way to do it, because the amount of time you're going to put into trying to get a list together with all the parts, figuring out where to buy all the parts, how to buy all the parts, and there is an easy buy option on Bricklink that makes this process a little bit easier, but it still can be a hassle, and then you have to count through all the parts when you get them, make sure you have... I just feel like it can end up taking more time, which would cost... Time is money, right? So it would just cost you more to do that instead of actually just buying the set. In most cases, I think for as easy it is to just buy a set, it's a lot better to spend, I don't know, the extra $20 to $50 or whatever it may cost you to just buy a set versus bricklinking it out. Unless you're just really hurting for money, I would really say just buy the set. Bricklinking something just, to me, is a huge headache and not something I really would do personally. Samuel T says, thoughts on Tiger King? I picked this question because I bought a Tiger King minifigure, and I think Tiger King is amazing. And, you know, I was thinking about it today, or the other day, and I was just like, I can't wait for a year from now when I look back on Tiger King as this thing of the past. And it's like during this weird time where, you know, we were all in lockdown, and, you know, Tiger King was just the talk of the town for like a week, and it was just really cool. And I'm just really looking forward to that day. I don't know why. I just know that these times right now, I will one day look back on fondly, and Tiger King will be part of that, and I just really like that for some reason. Ethan says, what is the best LEGO Star Wars set you can get for under $100? I don't know, man. Maybe the Boba Fett helmet? Zach Lego Maniac says, why are the TIE Fighter / Interceptor, etc. sets so overpriced? To quote the great Kevin Hinkle, because you keep buying them. Yes, that is the reason that certain LEGO sets are so overpriced. It's because you keep buying them, myself included. I mean, I'm part of the buy stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, they're expensive because people will pay that price. That is the reason they cost what they cost, because LEGO has decided at some point that most consumers, obviously maybe not you included because you seem to think they're overpriced, will look at a price like $80 for a TIE Fighter and be like, okay, I can do that. That seems fair. And we'll pay that price, or they'll pay the price when it's on sale. So I think overpriced may be a bit of a stretch. It's more of like, that's what LEGO thinks the market will pay for their product. But the real reason, and the way Kevin Hinkle beautifully explains it, is because you keep buying it. David Braswell says, I was wondering what your favorite Brickheads is. I think it might be the Sith Trooper and Kylo Ren dual pack. I know it doesn't pick one. I mean, it's probably the Kylo Ren out of the two, right? But that one's a really good set. Really love that Kylo Ren. The Boba Fett's, though, are really wonderful as well. Both the set that they released separately and the San Diego Comic-Con one. I think I kind of liked the one they made separately a little bit better. But they were both really good. Just both Boba Fett Brickheads, just amazing. I didn't really find the Darth Vader Brickheads to be that beautiful. I thought those other characters were better. So it's either Boba Fett or the newer masked Kylo Ren, although I guess the unmasked Kylo Ren isn't bad either. So yeah, those are my like top options, and I would have to do a worst to first. And I know I've done a worst to first before, but it didn't include a lot of these newer sets, so I'll have to do another worst to first on Brickheads in a couple years when more have released, I think. Venator Brick says, do you think the LEGO Star Wars theme will ever come to an end, as it has been going for 21 years straight? No, because there will continue to be movies and TV shows and other things coming out, as well as nostalgia, which is a huge thing for LEGO Star Wars and Star Wars in general. They can continue to cash in on nostalgia for probably ever. Like, there is no reason for LEGO Star Wars to end. It's one of LEGO's most profitable themes, if not their most profitable theme. It's hard to tell. But they make a killing on LEGO Star Wars. Disney makes a killing on LEGO, I'm sure. They have a great relationship, and I don't see any reason for it to go anywhere in the foreseeable future, especially because there will continue to be new movies, and hopefully really good ones at that people continue to enjoy and love. Carnal, with a bit of a loaded question, says, Ryan, do you enjoy the build process more, less, or the same when you do a live stream build as opposed to building a set alone? Seems you are distracted when live streaming, so you don't enjoy the build experience. On the other hand, I think you mentioned in the past, build process isn't that important to you. So it's not really like the actual like, oh, that's cool, that piece goes there, doesn't really matter to me. But I think this is a little bit different. It's like, do I enjoy the environment that I'm building in, not the actual like process of putting pieces together, if that makes sense. And I think when I live stream, it's just not as enjoyable as it would be. And you know, the reason I say this is actually the Stormtrooper bust back there, or helmet, I took on like a midnight, on like a Tuesday night or whatever. I just built it in the kitchen with the dim lights, listening to a podcast that I really like, and that's hard to beat for me. Like, I rarely get to do relaxing builds like that, but those are obviously going to be preferred to building in an environment where I have bright lights on me and I have to wear sunglasses because I have a white table and I am reading chat and I'm talking the whole time and trying to be entertaining all the while trying to build. Like, it's just a different experience. I like live streaming. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't do it. I think it would be hard for me to sit here and tell you that I enjoy that more than just sitting back, relaxing and taking my time building in a relaxed environment and listening to something like a podcast that I really enjoy and have a fun time listening to and laughing at the whole time. Like, that's just hard to beat for me. That's where I'm at on that. Nate says, my question for you is, would you expand your channel into a warehouse or public display to show the history of the Star Wars collection given the opportunity? This is kind of what Brick Vault did or tried to do. They already closed their thing down, I think, but never say never, but this is not something that has ever really crossed my mind that I would genuinely think I would want to do. I like my collection. I think of it as a private thing and not something I want to have people walking in and looking at all days of the week or the weekend or whenever it would be open to the public. I just, maybe one day, maybe it would be cool to have like a public on the weekends type of display thing, but I just, not something in my current plans or something I think I would want to do. Padawan of Christ says, when do you think we'll start getting Jedi Fallen Order sets? You say this like LEGO announced that at some point in the future they'll be happening. There's no guarantee they'll happen. Like, they could just not happen. There's a chance, however small it may be, that we do get one later this year in like August or September, because there is still a rumored LEGO Star Wars set with, I think, 775 pieces for $90 that we do not know what it is. I don't think that it's too far-fetched to see a set like that, or the droid could be a really cool set as like next year's buildable character set in 2021. That would be a really neat set to see. So there are things like that I think we could see from Jedi Fallen Order. Those are the only two sets that I know and really truly think there's a decent chance we could actually end up seeing. Other than that, I don't think there's too much from that game that LEGO would make that people would really recognize. Those are the only two things that I can think of that I would recognize just from someone not playing the game. And I think they would want people that don't play the game to even be able to recognize some of the stuff that they would make. So those are the two things that I would think. But yeah, at the earliest, potentially this summer, potentially late this summer, we could see something, but likely in 2021 if it happens at all. And that is going to do it for Ask MandRproductions episode 122. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. And if you have a question that you want answered next week, leave in the comments section down below. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.